This year, I'm studying a different language every month of the year. Keep watching to find out why I'm doing this challenge, how I'm doing it, what I expect to happen, and what I've already learned so far. If you're new here, hi! My name is Jamie, I'm a language coach, and my specialty is helping online language learners figure out how to learn their language in a way that makes them happy and successful. So if that sounds good to you, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when I post a new no BS video just for language learners. Why am I doing this challenge? Why would I set myself up to study a different language every single month? I have a few reasons. The first reason is based on a pattern that I see a lot of language learners do, like constantly, and that is that we put way too much pressure on ourselves. So while it may sound like studying a different language every month puts a lot of pressure on myself, it's actually the complete opposite because there's no goal or intention really besides just studying it. I'm not saying that I want to accomplish a certain thing. I'm not saying that I want to have conversations or be able to read something. I am not saying anything about my end result except that I just want to learn a language for a month. That's all. I'm keeping it simple. Without the pressure of achievements and results and goals, I can get back to actually enjoying language learning for the sake of learning a language and what makes it fun and interesting and a hobby and not a job, which is what a lot of us make language learning. I believe in leading by example, and so I want you and all of my clients to follow me, and I mean not necessarily learn a language every month, but learn a language for the joy of it and not put so much pressure on yourselves. Second reason I'm doing this is because my job as a language coach is to help language learners from all different kinds of walks of life and all different target languages. So while the specific language that they're learning doesn't really require any specific treatment or advice, I want to be able to connect with all my clients and all the people that I talk to on their personal struggles with language learning. So for example, I mean, if somebody comes to me and they're learning Spanish and they're frustrated over the preterite and the, what's the word? Imperfect. In the imperfect tense, then I 100% understand and I can get right on board and I know exactly what you're talking about and why that's so difficult. On the other hand, if you start talking about cases or things like that, I have no idea, and I can do my best to listen and support and be what you need me to be, but I want to be able to connect with your struggles on a deeper level. And the third reason I'm doing this challenge is that I want to vary my knowledge of language learning in general as a whole. So at the moment, most of my language learning knowledge is Romance languages, so Spanish and French. While that's great, that completely ignores the majority of the world that speaks non-Romance languages. Yes, Romance languages are very, very popular around the world, and you open yourself up to millions of native speakers of the language, but there's so many other languages that I want to get to know and learn the patterns of and enjoy, the language, the culture, TV shows, things like that. And when I focus just on Romance languages, I'm handicapping myself and I'm stopping myself from learning all these different perspectives just because it's difficult. And plus, after learning French last year, it was really, really boring because Spanish and French are like cousins. There was no really... It was only fun because it felt easy to get things right, but it doesn't last very long. In order to accomplish those three things, what's my plan? How do I plan on doing this? Because a year is a very long time, and that's 12 languages. That's a lot of different languages, a lot of different resources. Who knows what's gonna happen in my life in the next year? So how do I plan on doing this? For one, I am doing my best to pick languages from completely different language trees that I've never come across before. So for January, I picked Russian. I have no experience with anything Russian or anything related, so it's a really good challenge and I get to learn things about different kinds of languages. So theoretically, by the end of the year, I'm gonna have a really good grasp on so many different kinds of languages, which will help me so much in the future, both with my own personal language learning and with my coaching. Also, for each of those languages, I will be using either a resource that I've never used before or a resource that I've used but I've always wanted to dig a little deeper into. I'm actually trying to use resources I've never used before, primarily, so that I can, explore more resources and show you what to expect from different kinds of resources, but it's not always possible. I do my best. And no, I do not have all 12 languages planned out. I have a collection of like 5 to 6 languages that I'm interested in learning this year, but month to month, I'm keeping it flexible and I'm not gonna make any hard decisions until I get closer to that particular month. Because remember, one of the points of this challenge is to relax and enjoy the process of learning a language. So if I'm having a hard month and I already set myself up to learn Japanese the next month, I'm setting myself up for failure and I'm not going to be able to relax and enjoy it. That being said, what languages do you think I should learn this year? Let me know in the comment section. With this year-long challenge, what do I expect? What do I expect to happen? What do I expect to learn? What do I expect to experience? Well, for one, I expect to leave this year with a lot more language skills under my belt than I would have if I had stuck to 1 language or 2 languages. While I'm not expecting to be able to have full-fledged conversations in any of these languages, I'm going to be able to pick up different things much easier. I'm going to be able to pick up different patterns and alphabets and accents. I don't know. I also, like I said, expect to be able to connect with clients more deeply. And that's already happened actually. After the past few weeks of learning Russian, I was able to connect with a client who was learning Russian. We could talk about specific things and specific struggles that we both experienced. Even though that client isn't a native English speaker, she was able to talk to me about the difficulties that she's experienced and I could connect with her on that. And the big thing is that I expect to be pushing my brain a lot. Now this is different because, I mean, we can push ourselves to study for 8 hours a day and be confident having conversations in a month if we really want to. That's one way to push your brain. Or you could start learning new things constantly that are like new concepts to your brain. I really expect to be pushing my brain to figure out things that I could have never possibly imagined, and I'm really, really excited for that. And finally, what have I learned so far being almost a month into this challenge? I've learned a lot of things actually, and it's really, really exciting. One thing that I learned and kind of reminded myself of was how easy it is to fall into doing something that you don't actually like to do. So one of the things that I teach you guys and I teach my clients all the time is that if you don't enjoy doing it, don't do it. If you don't enjoy that resource, if you don't enjoy that strategy, if you don't enjoy that language, you shouldn't force yourself to do it. For Russian, I started out with a course and from the get-go I didn't really like it. But I really do want to see this course through because it's a different approach and I want to be able to like experiment with it and, you know, go from, I can theoretically understand what it's going to teach me, but I want to be able to be sure that it's going to teach me that. And so I was really stubborn, basically. I was really intentional about trying to finish that course. But what ended up happening was that the course itself stressed me out so much that instead of being excited to study Russian, I was avoiding the course. I was avoiding the stress and the energy that it was taking from me. So I was avoiding it. And I really loved that it reminded me of what language learners go through, like beginner language learners. I had a client who had found an italki teacher that she really, really loved, but after a couple months, she realized that she wasn't enjoying going to that tutor because at some point the direction that the tutor was taking her was different from the direction that she had set for herself. And it can be really, really easy to get lost in that and like pull yourself out and, you know, make sure that what you're doing is actually serving you. And the other thing that I learned was to remember that if the language that you're learning, if the concept you're learning, if the strategy you're using, if it feels too hard, then it is, and you need to switch up how you're approaching it. The course that I started out with teaching Cyrillic, which is great, the Russian alphabet, but it was painful. It was terrible. It was really, really difficult. Fortunately, somebody on TikTok told me to try this other app just for Cyrillic. The app was Learn Cyrillic in 3 hours, and it's just a simple free video course that I really, really liked. But it worked so much better than the tutorials that were in that course. And it was a really great reminder that if you are pushing yourself too hard, you really don't need to do that. It does not have to be difficult. I mean, up to a certain point, of course. Language learning is hard, especially when you go into language families that you have no experience with, into new alphabets, new sentence structures, things like that, it's going to be hard, just like inherently. And if the strategy, the approach, or the resource that you're using is making it more difficult, you're not going to stick to it. The language itself is difficult. Don't add more pressure and more difficulty by using an approach that is also difficult. If you want to follow along with this challenge that I'm doing all this year, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell, and also follow me on TikTok at Multilingual Mastery, because that's generally where I'm posting things and I share my thoughts and experiences and feelings day to day. If you like this video, make sure you check out these videos. I highly recommend them. Otherwise, have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. The one day that it's gloomy and doesn't look like Florida. It is what it is. Oh, and yeah, I am wearing a shirt.